Hi Year 4 and welcome to our class reader. If you listened in last time, chapter 30, Ruby was on her way on a bus journey trying to get back home after her quite scary adventure in the city. Okay, so chapter 31. I rubbed my eyes and opened them, immediately relieved to see the Himalayas in the distance. The sun is rising and casts a pink glow over the snowy peaks. I must have slept through most of the night. The bus ascends the windy road into the foothills, and I know we're finally getting close to home. I recognise the native deodar trees whizzing by and smell the scent of pine. After a few more hours, the bus chugs to a stop in town, in front of the dry food store and the owner with the donkeys. I've made it. I jump up, swing out of the bus doors and weave my way between the motorbikes, rickshaws, cars and people until I'm on the road to Durga Mountain. I soon leave the chatter of town and the honking of horns below. Up here it's quiet except for the thrum of the cicadas and the rustle of the leaves. When the road ends, I rush up the mountain's path, zigzagging around the tall trees, jumping over mossy rocks and ducking under low branches. I go to Praveen's first. I know that Grandma and Dad will be worried, maybe angry, that I left, but I have to convince Praveen first. I'm not sure whether Praveen will want to see me, let alone listen to what I have to say. I can still picture his angry eyes the last time we spoke. All I know is that I have to try. I owe it to the leopards. I find Praveen hammering a panel onto the stable, the side of which is smashed open. Kutani sits guarding beside him, ears pricked. Butterflies gather in my stomach. I take a deep breath. Praveen, I call. He turns, drops the hammer and stares at me. His expression is unreadable. What happened? I asked, pointing at the broken cabin wall. Someone stole 2 goats, he says. There's an awkward pause. Where have you been? He continues. I thought... He looks at the ground. Well, I thought all sorts of things. I explain everything to him and pull out the crumpled article and show him the photo of the tannery on my camera. You have to help me protect the leopards, I say. Forget about 'em all for now. So we were right about Mr. Bart and Mr. Anand, he says. I'm sorry about before. I can't believe that a mole would be involved in anything like this. But still, I'm sorry. I smile to myself, grateful he believes me and that we're in this together again. Outside the hotel, I take a breath, then push the gate open. Praveen follows me in. Before we even make it to 2 steps, Grandma dashes out of the front door and squeezes me, holding me tight. She pulls back to look at me for a second before holding me close again. Tears glisten in her eyes. Don't you ever do that again, she whispers into my hair. I'm sorry, I say softly. Where's Dad? Looking for you, she says, ushering me inside. We searched everywhere and found your tent. She gestures to the door and sees my tent crumpled in a pile next to it. We thought a bear had you until someone in town said they saw you getting on a train. Dad thought you might be trying to get back to Australia, so he went to Delhi to search. What? I'm stunned. How could Dad think I would run off and leave them both like that? But what about Gaj and Manka? Didn't he arrive today? Didn't Dad need to be here? Oh, darling, finding you is more important than greeting any hotel guest. I'd better tell him you're safe. She strokes my hair one last time before pulling her phone out of her pocket. She speaks to Dad rapidly in Hindi. Joey springs up to me and bounces around me. I stroke her nose. He wants to talk to you, Grandma says, and passes the phone to me. Dad? Ruby? His voice breaks. Are you okay? I'm fine. Guilt rips through my stomach. Dad, I'm so sorry. I can explain. We can talk about it when I'm back, but all that matters is that you're okay, Ruby. Listen, I don't know when the next train is, so it might take me a day to get home, but I'm on my way, all right? Stay put with Grandma. Ruby, I'm so happy to hear your voice. I love you. Grandma places biscuits on the table in front of me. I munch on them 2 at a time. Tell her about the poachers, says Praveen. His voice is amused. When you've finished eating, that is. I make a face at him, then take a deep breath and explain everything to Grandma. I tell her about the flash of leopard skin I saw in the backpack, about following the couple onto the train and the river breaking its banks. She cries out at that and presses her hands to her mouth. And look, I think Guardian is involved too. I unfold the article and hand it to her. Then I rest my head against the chair, suddenly too exhausted to do anything else. The next time I open my eyes, Praveen's wearing my backpack. Where are you going? I ask. I must have fallen asleep. Grandma's covered me in a blanket. I push it off and stand. Guardian arrived this morning. He and the bosses left to go trekking a few hours ago. I'm going to find them and see what they're up to. My heart sinks. They're not trekking. They're hunting for leopards. We have to stop them. He nods. A mole's their guide, he says, through glazed eyes that tell me that he still doesn't quite believe me about a mole. He shakes his head and continues, whatever they're doing, I want to find out for myself. I know where they're heading. I know a shortcut, and I think I'll be able to catch up with them quickly. I'm coming too, I say. You most certainly are not, says Grandma, bustling back into the room. I rang the number on the article you gave me. Someone is arriving within the next few days to investigate. What if that's too late? I ask her. They're hunting leopards right now. She furrows her brow, making deep creases across her skin. If this is true, then they're dangerous men, Ruby. I wrap my arms around Joey. All the more reason to stop them, I say. Grandma glances at the picture of Guardian coming out of court. It's lying on the table and she reaches for it, examining the article more closely. How far away were they going? She asks. About half a day's walk, but I think if we take my shortcut we could catch up with them within an hour or so, answers Praveen. She looks up at the mountains. Then we better get going. You as well, asks Praveen. Are you sure you want to come with us, Grandma? I add. I can't let the two of you go alone, she says. Besides, when have I ever turned down an adventure? I lunge and wrap my arms around her. I dash upstairs to change quickly into some clean clothes. The house feels different, empty. Suddenly I realise what's missing. I dash into my room. Polly, I shout. Where are you? She always greets me. Have you seen Polly? I yell down to Grandma. She's taken herself off for a walk, Grandma calls up. Don't worry, you know she always comes back. Polly, I call out one last time, soothed by Grandma's words, but still anxious to see her. I pack my tent, sleeping bag and torch, just in case we need them. Joey snuggled up on the sofa and I kiss her goodbye on the nose. Then I grab a fleece and water bottle and join the others in the hall. Should we leave a note for Dad? I ask. I'm sure we'll be back before him, Grandma says, pausing in my doorway. That's when I see she's holding a rifle. I raise my eyebrows at her. Just in case, she says. Praveen's arms himself with his staff. I fasten my camera around my neck. Grandma passes me an umbrella. We're ready. We've got Kutani, says Praveen, seeing me look around again for Polly. He's been this way hundreds of times with me. I nod and we set out into the mountains in search of the poachers. Well, it sounds like they're starting to work out a bit more about what's happening and who's involved. And it sounds like the actor who's coming to visit has ulterior motives for wanting to be at the hotel. Right, I shall see you soon, Year 4. Have a lovely day. Bye.